All right, we are live. That gain is okay. Okay, let me get all the various things that I need up. Lunch and learn days are always the days when I realize I need a third monitor desperately on my desk here because I have about 7 different windows that I'm swapping through for this stuff. No. I use my desktop PC as my streaming, well, as my everything PC. So I don't have like a dock or anything like that that I can plug into it to like have those multiple monitors. I just need a bigger desk. That's all. If I had a bigger desk at home, I would have 3 monitors. Future me problems. In a world where Matt gets exactly what he wants, he would have the executive desk. Think I'm out of everything. I'm gonna close Slack as well so I don't have those booping me while I'm presenting. Presenting. We'll give it a couple more minutes just to get a few more folks in. We got 11 watching now, so we'll get started soon. For those of you who are watching, as always, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat over there, and we will address them as we can. I'm always curious. I always wish I had like a little roster of who's watching over on the side. keep my brain correctly adjusted here, so I need to make sure I have all the right windows open. So I have my little rundown document over on the side. I want to make sure I have the chat up over on the side. The main presentation screen. The OBS window to make sure the stream's running okay and I've got the right scenes up. Oop, close my email. That folder open. That thing open. Guess I don't really need my webcam open. Okay. 12:01. We'll go ahead and we'll get things going here. So, hello everybody. Welcome to the March WiscWeb Lunch and Learn. I sent out the agenda yesterday, the tentative agenda, because I've added a couple things to it since yesterday. But that tentative agenda was sent out yesterday. We'll kind of get into that rundown right here. So, I guess we'll just kind of talk about the UW theme update recap and kind of looking ahead as to what's next. So just a quick recap. We did some more fixes for headlines. When we previously did that theme update, things weren't. I guess we saw some unexpected functionality in that. So we did a little more testing. We took a lot of feedback from folks, and we did updates to that. So hopefully everybody has seen and has looked at their headlines to make sure all titles, all headlines are appearing as expected. If they're not, please reach out to us to let us know where you're seeing any of those issues at, so we can take a look at them and see, I guess, just to see if it's is it expected or unexpected behavior on our end as well. So also to touch on and kind of looking ahead, we did announce at our last Lunch and Learn that we were going to be applying the new, I guess, button within the text editor. That unfortunately got pushed back because styles are currently being looked at for buttons in the UW theme as a whole. So the button work that was being done by one of our developers. But UW Marketing is also taking a look at the button theming as well. And so we're hoping that by our May UW theme update, the two shall meet and we will have that new button functionality by then. So unfortunately, that didn't get into this one. I know people were looking forward to that, and that was sort of an unforeseen last second pull that we had to do there. Moving on, I guess keeping on with updates, Jenna and I are currently working on deploying and testing plugins into the dev environments for us, so our testing environment. And so we will be updating versions of, as you can see there, WP data tables and Gravity Forms. I haven't had a chance to test it yet, or test data tables yet, so I'm not sure what that versioning is going to look like. I don't think it's going to be as drastic a change as what we saw when we last updated data tables with like the completely different editing interface. But one thing I just want to point out is just kind of be aware of the fact that things are changing. I did notice in the changelog that they're still trying to address just the Google API functionality that they use. So I think they're trying to improve it. But we just want to make sure that that's one of the things that we test out when we are deploying this. And then when we deploy it to production, we always encourage folks to take a look at their pages just to make sure that nothing is happening unexpectedly. And then Gravity Forms, again, just it's another version bump. So there are a few bug fixes in it. There are a few things that we'll need to take a look at to see if they will affect you directly or if they're not something that will be an issue for any editors. Let's see. Moving on. So bigger discussion item here is the conversation in regards to publishing WiscWeb sites to non-wisc.edu domains. So this is a newer conversation. I shouldn't say newer. We've been having it for quite a while, but we have been reaching out to groups that are currently publishing to non-wisc.edu domains, and I guess discussing some of the issues, the troubles that we have. So I guess to just give a general rundown, if you have a WiscWeb site, but you have chosen to publish it to a .org, or I don't know what else we might have within our service aside from .orgs, those are the most prominent ones. But if you've decided to publish it to a different domain than something.wisc.edu, this creates a support issue for us because of the fact that whenever we need to make any DNS related changes, so for example, we've been doing a lot of load balancer type testing and changes, and we've been changing the way that we deploy things on our end. Whenever we make some of these very large changes to our service that affect the way that your site is accessed, when it's publishing to some other domain that we don't have control of, so something.org, you had to have purchased that, and it is owned / hosted that domain name is hosted somewhere else, even though your site is with us. When things change for your site when it comes to like DNS entries, we have to work with you. Subsequently, you then have to go through your domain name provider to make some of these changes. And it's a confusing and sometimes frustrating process because people who requested the domain may no longer be around, and you might not know all the information, the reasoning, what it is that we're even talking about when it comes to these types of updates. And so that creates a support issue for us because suddenly we now have to work with you a little bit more and perhaps even work with the domain name owner of it so that we can get those updates done. So it's a difficult process for us from a WiscWeb standpoint. It's a difficult process for us from a web hosting standpoint. And so in light of that, we have decided that we will no longer publish WiscWeb sites to non-wisc.edu domains. Now, that's not to say that you can't still have something.org, something.whatever that's appropriate out there. But what we're requiring you to do is to set up a redirect from whatever.org that will point back to your something.wisc.edu domain. So that way we control all of that functionality and all of that updating on our end so that we don't have to worry about any sort of third-party support that we have to work with, and we don't have to worry about working through you to make sometimes some complicated updates that are confusing, I guess, to say the least. So that is what our process is going to be moving forward. This doesn't affect our current sites that publish to .orgs, but we are making this change now moving forward. Did I sum that up correctly, Jenna? You are now unmuted.
Yeah. So I think the basic thing, like Matt said, is that there's actually just tons of different domain registrars out there, and they all do things slightly differently. And it's really, really tough for our teams to be able to advise on changes, and it typically is not something that the groups know a lot about. So it does fall on us to have to assist with those. But then we've also just noticed that folks are getting into situations where someone maybe set it up years ago under a personal account. That person is gone. Their personal account doesn't exist on campus, which creates an issue of just like how to continue to make changes, how to maybe shut it down. Um, so we are deciding to not publish in the future, but as Matt said, like anyone who currently has a .org or a .com or a .coop, those will remain. We're just not allowing it moving forward, going forward.
Okay, we'll let that one ruminate for a second just to see if any questions come in regards to that. And again, it's a decision point being made on our end, just to make it easier for us to support these types of things. So, all right. Again, we'll answer any questions that come into the chat over there. Moving on, we have announced the next Open Lab. So for those of you who are looking just for a little more one-on-one help from myself, from Jenna, from other members of our team, as well as members of the Center for User Experience folks from Academic Technology, the sign up is now live. The go.wisc.edu URL is right there. It's LKP3CF. I also sent the link in the agenda email yesterday, but it is there and it is ready for you to sign up for. So again, 20-minute blocks, put your name in there, put the email address, and what site do you need assistance with, a general overview of what assistance you need, so that we can make sure that the right people are there for you. I'm going to skip demo time real quick because I'll get to that in a second. I'll just chat about this one right here. So Jenna and I did a little stream when we did the last update to WP data tables, and I thought it went over pretty well. So I wanted to get some more of these, I guess, learn with Matt type sessions. So these are kind of things where I might not know the general answer to things, but it's more of a kind of hang out and learn with me opportunity as I poke at things and kind of talk through my process and talk through just general troubleshooting of issues that might arise as I'm doing these. And these are some of the things that have come up recently that are, I think, things that I answer questions about often or have been asked and don't have a good answer for just yet. So the first one was something we talked about with WP data tables, which is how to take those data tables and turn them into data charts through the data tables plugin. So I'm going to poke at that a little bit. I've gotten some feedback from some users that, you know, they have some data that I can kind of take and build off of with that. There are two sites that are presentation type sites. So think PowerPoint, your PowerPoint slide type thing. And that is SlideShare and SpeakerDeck. These are two sites that are out there that are whitelisted embedding options for WordPress sites. So we talked last month about Sway. Sway is a presentation application that is available to us on campus, except it's not something that we as WiscWeb are going to allow embedding for. So I wanted to look at some other options that are out there for people who want to embed presentations, and SpeakerDeck and SlideShare are the two that are whitelisted by WordPress. And so I figured let's go and take a look at those two and see what we can do with them for learning how to do those. Another conversation that I have often, at least once a month over the last 6 months, I'd say, and then sometimes more so, is what is my setup for streaming? How do I do this? How do I do these lunch and learns? How have I done the trainings? What stuff do I have? What software do I use? What is the process for that? And so I figured, well, I can just do a little 1 hour or 90-minute, demo of what my entire setup is for that. So I'll do one of those. And then another one that's becoming a little more of a conversation point and request is layouts for pages that are, I guess, wanting to highlight and call attention to graduates, senior profiles, and then also faculty staff lists, or different types of people lists, I guess. So those are two that I am going to touch on as well, because I think it's something that's going to become a little more prominent as we go barreling towards May and graduation time, and the uncertainty of how graduation will look this year. It's something that was requested a little bit last May when a lot of our academic groups were trying to find ways to really include their graduates in their sites and highlight their graduates in their sites. So we'll do a little something like that as well. Okay, demo time. So 3 demos that I want to run today for you all is a Pubmed publications via RSS feed, embedding files from Box, and then embedding a Box file upload option. So the KB doc numbers are there, and I'll bounce around with those to highlight them. But the first one is Pubmed publications via an RSS feed. So one of the things that happens pretty often is people are interested in using the publications plugin that we have within WiscWeb, except it doesn't do as efficient a job of importing from external sources. And PubMed is one of the big ones because of the fact that we have a number of our medical / research sites where they have published journals, videos, articles, books, things of that nature. And they want to include those in a site, and yet we don't really have a good answer for doing that. So one of the things that I poked at was using PubMed and trying to find a way to pull in the stuff that has PubMed via our embedding function, which didn't work. But then I poked at the RSS aspect of it, and that did work. So I'm going to kind of demo that for you right now, just so you can see how that will look. So I'm at the PubMed site. I just want to find something. Let's just look up something. Not knowing anything about many of these articles, I want to make sure that I grab something that's not ridiculous. But let's... What was the last one I did? I think I did black holes. There you go. Short review of loop quantum gravity. Anybody who's like a fan of the Big Bang Theory series, this would sound somewhat similar to that. Okay. So I just wanted to grab one type of publication, because what I can do is I can then get to the authors of it. So I'm going to look at this particular author in specifically, and you'll see that their name is attached to a number of publications, I should say. The one thing that is a concern of mine, or something that I can't quite get my mind around how to avoid, is here is A. Ashtekar, and then here is A.R. Ashtekar. And I couldn't tell you if they are the same individual or if they are different individuals because of the way that PubMed cites these things. So this is one of the drawbacks that I have found, which is if I find a particular person and I look at their list, it might include things that aren't by that person. So you have to watch that and maybe play around with this a little bit to see if you can find a more specific way to create that feed. So I'm just looking at the advanced options here. Nothing there that jumps out at me that I want to dig into too much right now. But so once I have this list here, I can click on Create RSS up here in the upper section of the page. And so what that does is I can set some options. So I just want to grab this person's name. Go here. So I've got that set. Number of items to display. See, these are things that you can actually set via the RSS feed, but if you ever wanted to share this as well, these are some settings that you might want to look at as well. So I'll click Create RSS. It will generate this link down here. So I'm going to leave this link right here because I need to do some copying and pasting from some other things first. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and click on Add New. And you saw the other one that I had done. Give it a title. I'm going to leave it as one column. But then I need to go and grab the correct KB doc. So here's that KB doc using RSS feeds for PubMed publications. So I need to go to the correct, grab the right feed here. So I'm going to grab this guy right here. Copy that, paste that. Nope. Paste that right into there. Because it's a short code, I can paste it right into my visual editor. So first things first, UW-RSS-feed. This is our code for pulling in a feed from some URL. The URL is this right here that I created a second ago. And then we'll, don't break that. Delete that, and then paste in that full URL. You'll see it's all right there. Now, because this is a shortcode that is appearing in our site, that title stuff doesn't matter because you still need to set the title for your own page. So I'm just going to grab the same stuff that I did there, the description, publications by one. And then the more link can go wherever you want it to go. You could have it go to a particular person's personal site, or you could just send it right to this same URL. So if I wanted to, I could grab this right here, this full URL up top here, and I could have it go there, right? Yep. And then the max posts, I'm going to say 5, but that could be anything that you want it to be. So once I have all that set, again, I'll kind of walk through what I did here in a second with the various things that I copied and pasted. So I'm going to publish this. Then I'm going to cross my fingers that it works, since it worked last time. There it is. Okay. So it is pulling in those items from that list. So that is how you can pull in a Pubmed publications list via an RSS feed. So let me kind of go back in and walk through that roundabout way of doing things. But what I did was I went to the KB doc that I linked in the agenda that I sent out yesterday. This is based off of our embedding RSS feeds KB doc, which is also linked at the bottom. So I needed to go to that one to grab the actual short code that we have. And I'm going to update the other one to make sure that this short code is in there, just because I don't want you to have to do that extra link. That's silly of me, and I should have thought about that before. But grab this short code, drop that into your text editor, and then update the various sections that require updating. And so that those are this URL equals, and it is the URL of the feed that you create from Pubmed via the create RSS link right here. You need to give it a title. You need to give it a description. And then the more link can go externally to wherever you want it to be. Can max posts in the RSS linking be hundreds? I'm not going to say yes, because I don't think, I shouldn't say I don't think. You don't want to have an RSS feed on a page that is that long to read, because of the amount of scrolling that could potentially create. I appreciate the fact that some people have published a great amount of items, but that would create a user experience concern for that particular page for me because of the amount of scrolling on a page that it would create. So what I would do is I just want to take a quick look at this just to see. March, August. So this is going in chronological order. So March 10th, 2021. So what I would do is I would put it at a comfortable number of publications, and maybe in the description, I would say these are the most recent publications by person's name. You can view more by clicking the link at the bottom of this list. That way, you can push them off to another more, I guess, database-driven site. and not create a bunch of scrolling on your site's pages. So could it? I don't know that we put in a number. I guess I don't know. I don't even know if Scott, I know you're in the Hangout. I don't know if you know. Did we put if there would be a limitation on that max posts function?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. See, I don't know that we have. I don't know that we have a limitation on it, but I would say don't push for the hundreds. Yeah, I understand that. I do. I guess that's a hard one to say. I guess I can't tell you don't do it. I would recommend don't do it, but I guess give it a shot, see what's comfortable, and go from there. You don't. Yeah, I guess just watch out for it. How many does this person have? 45. I wonder if I could find someone who was in the hundreds and test it out. Nope, that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be back at Pubmed. Here we go. 119. Let's give this one a try. $993. That is an impressive number. Okay. I apologize if I crash WiscWeb. Actually, I'll blame Claire. All right. Looks like there is a limit. $15 is the limit there. Let me see if I can test that to be something else. Let's just try 20. Oh, 15 is the limit. Good question, because it made me test it, and now I have an answer. So it looks like there is a limit to it. So you will still have to use the more to push them off to a fuller list. So, good question, good test. Okay, so that's using Pubmed, using RSS to embed a Pubmed publications list. Obviously, I'll need to update this now with the limit for the RSS feed as well. Okay, so that's that one. The next one that we wanted to demo is the ability to. You guys don't get to see that yet. The ability to embed an item from our UW box instance. So one of the things that we have often had a difficult time, I guess, explaining and also justifying is where to put items when it comes to media library. Items that update pretty often, such as PDF documents or I guess PowerPoint presentations and things like that. Media library doesn't handle versioning. So like if you upload a file with the same file name, it doesn't replace the previous file. It just copies a new one in -1. So what we did was we recommended folks use Box to upload those files so that you can maintain versioning control there as well. So the link to something will always link to or point to the most recent version of that particular item. So that being said, what we did was we allowed the ability to embed items from Box into a text area. So to do that, again, you have the KB doc was linked there. I'm actually going to pop this back over here so I can read it while I'm going through this. So let's go through pages and then add new. And let's do box embedding test. All right. So you will have your box directory. I'm in just a testing folder over here, obviously. And then you need to navigate to the file that you want to embed into your page. So I just have my beginner's documentation PDF right here. So I'm going to click on the more options, and then I'm going to go down to more actions and then embed widget. So just there's that path right there. And it will bring up this information right here. You have some options here as to what you want to change the size to. I don't recall off the top of my head. Scott and I went back and forth on this a few times. I don't recall what the final number was that we ended on as the default. But once you have your values, you can just copy the embed code right up here. Take that to a text editor page and just paste it right in. And so what we've done is, I shouldn't say we because I say we as a team, but really this is the child of Scott Berg, one of our developers. When you paste it in, it removes all of this iframe source stuff. It automatically does that, but it does allow it to be pasted in. WordPress in and of itself does not allow iframes to be put into text editors by editors or admins of sites. So we have been slowly adding function for that in some of our embedding options because we do have some things that people do want to embed. You know, Google Maps was one. We've allowed Google Forms, I think Google Calendar. So there are some things where we have allowed those embedding functions to appear, to be used, I should say. Sorry. So here it is because it just strips out all that iframe stuff and just automatically places it right in the page itself. So now if I publish, and then I take a look at it, and there it is. And again, it is scrollable. It's pulling it directly from the box folder from the file itself. And it is basically the box viewer on your web page. So that is one thing to be aware of, is it really is the box viewer right there. So you see, I don't particularly like this option right here, the height. So one of the things that you can do is you can go in to the text editor function right there. And what you'll see is here is the actual URL itself. Then there is this little question mark right here. And this question mark essentially creates the ability for you to now add some parameters. So I could edit that height if I wanted to. And then I guess Scott, correct me here. Do I need to separate these by semicolons if it's a different parameter?
In the URL?
Yeah, if I'm editing the parameters within that URL there.
Hold on, I actually don't have the live stream open.
Because my example only has, I guess I could just delete this out and just go from there, but let me just do that. So I'll do height equals, and then let's just say 1,000 just for the testing aspect of it.
And then you can put ampersand. So if it's the first query parameter, you have to use the question mark.
Yep.
Anything after that, it's ampersand.
So this one actually already had a couple of parameters in there. It had like column list and then like a scroll something. Do you separate different types of parameters by semicolons?
No. And I
Okay.
think what you were seeing is that the text view was making it like a web safe text thing, and it was putting like a HTML ampersand. So that makes it a little bit more complicated.
No. Okay. So regardless, here is what it looks like now. I set that parameter up to 1,000, and it's a little more readable now. So again, this is just an option that we wanted to add in because, again, we're just trying to make things as, I guess, usable for you. And again, with the media library, it's not the best for things like documents that change often. So we've always recommended using Box in the past. Now here's a way for you to actually embed things from Box into your page. I will hold while the crowd goes wild. Is the box embed text searchable? So the PDF is not an image. It is just an embed. So what it is it's just I'm trying to think of the right way to explain this so I don't confuse myself. It's basically just a slot on your page that is pulling content from another location. The text that you are pulling from is not searchable. So this, I believe, is it searchable, Scott?
I don't know. Hit Control F and see if it does it.
No. What I mean is like this,
Like
like SEO type search.
It's not going to find it from
Right.
a website search or Google, most likely.
Okay, so yeah, because of the fact that it's an external source.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
Got it. So what you could do is, prior to the embed itself, you could put in just a few keywords for this particular item. So I could hit enter and just say, WiscWeb. Yeah, Phil was answering it over there. The WiscWeb beginners documentation, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Learn how to do this, that, and the other. More below. So I might want to put in some introductory text just to, you can cut and paste. You can go in and you can. Well, I can't specifically do this, but I could go in and. Come on, play nice. Oh, I can. Okay. I could grab that, come up here. Always remember to paste this text so that you don't have to deal with any formatting issues. Woof. That might not be the best option. Because it took out all the spaces. Wonder if it does that if I pull it from here. Yep. Boy, is that not helpful. Why is it giving a line break there? That is super interesting. Guess what I wonder what it would do if I pasted it from this training document. Whoa, that's one super long word. It might take a little bit of. So, yes, you can cut and paste, except see what happens when you cut and paste. It put it all in as one gigantic word, and then you have to kind of go through and do that. This is an Adobe Acrobat thing, so, or a PDF thing. So I'm not sure if you have like the source document for it. So usually I'll have a Word document, which I will in turn publish to PDF. You could copy and paste from like the source Word document. That would work a little bit better. And then do that. The same thing happened, Sarah. It was all one word. It's all one item right there. And I'd have to go through and start spacing it out that way. That is a weird behavior. Yeah, that is not. I mean, I like the embedding aspect of it, but yeah, that is not a good transfer from PDF documents to this guy. That's not something we can necessarily fix either, because of the fact that it's happening because of uh it's happening via the application. Yes, Phil, that's exactly what I'm saying. It is. The box contract is changing. We don't know what it's all going to end up being in the end. Yes, we are losing space. I mean, that's an issue for. I guess that's an issue for research into what other options exist out there. Again, that's not to say that you can't throw things into your media library. It's just that your media library doesn't do versioning very well. So you then would have to do more managing of those links internally. So, yeah, but. Okay, so that's how to do the embedding from Box. The other aspect, the other aspect is how do you create an upload option, which is another thing that we have been asked about in the past. And for that one, what you need, I closed my Box folder for some reason. What you need to do is, I need to bring up the KB doc again. Embedding files from embedding a box file upload option. Okay. So what I would need to do is I would need to go to the folder that I want to create the option for, go to the three dots over here, and then click on File Request, because File Request is what allows you to create this functionality. And then what you need to do is you need to click on the Embed Widget aspect. So same idea as what we talked about before in relation to make sure you have a folder where you're going to store these things. Click on the options. In this case, though, File Request, and then I need the embed code. So I will copy that. I guess the other thing to note is the settings for this. You need to make sure that you have it so that it is an open folder, like people can access it. Because if people can't, if it's not open for people to upload things to, that nobody can upload anything to it. So you need to make sure that you uncheck all of the various settings that are going to restrict the access to it. Back up to all files, over to here, file request, grab the embed code, same idea, drop back into the text editor, paste it in, and you'll see it drops in there. So now I will, just because I want you all to see how this works, I'm going to, this is the only thing in that folder. I'm going to update this page. Page uploaded, back up to box embedding test. So I just moved things around now. So here's that, oops, back here. Here's that upload field. And then I'm just going to go grab a quick file to upload. You'll see that it is in there. I click submit. Goes through the various box stuff. Says success. Your file has been submitted. And so now what I can do is I can go over here. And there it is. That's it. That one's pretty straightforward. It just allows files to be uploaded. You know, this is kind of something where you could look at if you have a request for, you know, papers, or if you are creating some sort of form where you need people to submit items, you could send this type of code back as your response whenever somebody actually submits a form request in there. So that's that one. Any questions on that? That one, again, that one's pretty straightforward. Just, it allows you to put on page the ability to upload things to your box documents. To a box folder. All right. So the last couple things that we wanted to touch on this month were just a couple of notes of, I guess, we want some feedback from you, our users, and especially a number of you who have been power users for a long time with the WiscWeb service in general. Oh, let me get back to that one, that question specifically. I think the answer is in general, no, but I wanted to show something. So one of the things that we've been talking about quite a bit is with WiscWeb, we have two states. You have your build/sandbox state, and then you have your launched state. And we have had quite a bit of confusion between what does it mean to be a launched website. And we are trying to find out a better way of identifying for you, the editors and the users, or the editors and the administrators of a site, what is and what isn't a launched site. So a launched site is, you know, you've built your site out and it is now, your URL is now something.wisc.edu, or, you know, labname.department.wisc.edu. It has a fully realized, fully published wisc.edu domain to it. An unlaunched site is a site that you have requested that still maintains the something.wiscweb.wisc.edu URL. That WiscWeb domain value means that it is still in an unlaunched state. And we've been going through and identifying sites that are currently still in an unlaunched state and trying to let them know that they need to launch. And the feedback we often get is, well, we thought it was launched because it's live. It is an actual website. And that's true, except that's not what we consider a launched site. So one of the things that we're thinking about doing is identifying those specific sites and putting a dashboard message in their sites for all of the users of those sites, all of the editors and all of the admins of those sites, to let them know that it isn't launched, and then what are your steps that you need to take for your site to be fully launched, to be fully realized. And I guess we're just kind of looking for feedback on what types of options would work. And specifically, this is one of the things that we're looking at doing is putting this sort of message in the dashboard area and just kind of gauging what, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this would work? Would this help? Etc. So you guys can just, if you have an opinion, go ahead and throw it in the chat. We will, we'll take note of it for that. So, oops, get back here, you. So the last thing that we wanted to touch on is another question that we get quite often whenever sites are moving into the WiscWeb service or migrating to the WiscWeb service is, can you help us build it? Can you, is there someone that you can hire to build I guess just to help you realize your site and do all of that work for you, because you don't have time, you don't have know-how, knowledge, etc. So one of the things that we're looking at for future state, for future WPS, not just WiscWeb, but for our department as a whole, web platforms and services, is would you be interested in that type of service where you could contract with us, contract with WPS, contract with our services to deliver that content that you have prepared yourself? We wouldn't create the content. It's your content. You create it. We'll help you deliver it. And do that sort of initial build. Not manage, not maintain, but initial build. And this would not provide any expertise in SEO, search engine optimization, no expertise in usability, user experience, no expertise in accessibility, but it would essentially be the platform for you to jump off of to build that site for you. So I'm laying the groundwork for this question. This is not a promise that it's going to happen. We want to gauge the interest in it because at the end of the day, for us, it becomes a budgeting, not only financially, but also time-wise. We don't have the resources to do this now. Would the demand be there for us to request the resources to do this? So I wanted to throw this out there because it is a question we get very often. It's a request that web hosting gets very often. You want a website. You got stuff to put on there. You don't have the time to put it on there, or you don't have the time or the skill or the know-how to put it on there. Can I get somebody to do that for me? So we're kind of looking at that idea and seeing what the interest will be like. We're going to send out a survey maybe next week, maybe the week after. I want to touch base with Ketter, who did our WiscWeb WiscWeb user survey, and so I want to gauge how we want to ask these questions to make sure we maximize the responses itself. Yeah, I mean, it's a question that we get very often. People want us to, I guess content delivery service really isn't the right way to state this. I was trying to figure out a good way to like create this as a topic, but basically it's just, would you be interested in, when you first build your site out or had first built your site out, to have someone that you could have contracted with or sort of paid for that additional time to deliver that content for you initially? So again, we're going to survey that because this is more anecdotal conversation here. I want hard data so that I can take that to the users. Okay, Phil has posted some stuff about the PDF reading aspect of it. I wanted to get back up to Nicholas's question about, is there a similar option for downloading from Box? There isn't a similar option for downloading from Box visibly like this functionality, like right here. I wonder if, and I'm going to test this out right now. I hadn't tested it out because I only did the file aspect, but I wonder if, so I'm going to look at the folder specifically. I'm going to go down to the more actions in the embed widget, which is the same steps that you would follow for a file. Sort, I can hide the activity feed. I can hide the folder path. So that way all you see is the folder itself. I can do grid or list, sort by date, sort by name. Okay, so I'm going to copy this back here, edit page. Add another text block. Dump that in. Update it. View the page. I can already see that there is a security function there. So there's the folder itself. And that folder does allow me to download from it. So I have the full folder list there. This might be something where I would have to tinker with code, the height and width function of it. But basically here is an embedded view of a particular folder. I don't know if that's something that you'd want to do or not, but that is something to consider as well. Any questions on that? All right, it's 1 o'clock, so I will turn you all loose. And hopefully, oops, sorry, I just really messed up my stream over there. And then hopefully, if you have any other questions, go ahead and reach out to us about that. I'll stick around just to answer any other questions that come into the chat, but we're going to end the Lunch and Learn now because it is 1, and I know people have to run off and go do other things. But thanks for tuning in. If you have questions, always you can reach us at cms-support@doit.wisc.edu. Most of you know how to get in touch with me, so please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or any feedback. Otherwise, stay safe, and we will talk to you all next month.